All right, y'all, welcome back to the show. It's Antiwar Radio. I'm Scott Horton. And the first guest on the show today is Pepe Escobar. I was reading to you guys from his article at the Asia Times yesterday. And the winner is Muqtada. Welcome to the show, Pepe. How you doing?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Well, I'm very happy to talk to you. And okay, I guess I'll just leave it to you. First of all, just break it down real quick about the Iraqi election and the different parties, and then we can go on at length about Muqtada al-Sadr and his influence in the future of Iraq.
Okay. Well, Alawi got 91 seats. Maliki got 89. That's the basics of it. So they needed to form a coalition. And the kingmaker, everybody knew. Maybe not at the Pentagon, that would be Muqtada al-Sadr. So they were trying to court Muqtada, but didn't know exactly what to do. The Iranians stepped in with a magnificent plan, I would say. Let's go to the religious channel. So they approached Muqtada, spiritual leader. He more or less convinced Muqtada to give Maliki a try. They had huge problems because Maliki was prime minister. He went against the Sadrists, really heavy. And Muqtada had not forgiven him, at least not yet. Not till he had the input from his spiritual leader. And then there was this big meeting in Tehran with everybody involved. Maliki's people, the Sadrists, Muqtada himself, because he studied in Qom to become an Ayatollah, Marja, source of influence. So in a few years, Muqtada not only will be an extremely strong political leader, but also religious authority as well. And his family, the Sadr family, is extremely respected in Shiite Iraq. So he's doing everything right. He shed that image of being, a little bit out of his head around 2004 and 2005. So now he's in Qom. He's studying with the elders. So when you go to Qom and you get inside those very imposing madrasas, and you're studying Shiite theology, the whole thing changes. You are in another level. And probably you get closer to the Mahdi, you get closer to Allah, and you start floating. And obviously you see the world from a much bigger picture. That's what's happening with our friend Muqtada. So we had a little bit of intervention from the Iranians, but just to smooth things over, actually. It's true. The Hezbollah had representatives over there in that meeting. The Revolutionary Guards had representatives in that meeting as well. But it was up to Muqtada himself to decide, okay, what's the best solution for Iraq, for a Shiite majority, religious majority in Iraq? And obviously the Ayatollahs in Qom itself also privileged, let's say, a more Shiite-inclined, a religiously inclined government instead of Alawi, because they don't trust Alawi because he was a CIA asset. He was an ex-Baptist as well. So the best solution would be this Maliki-Sadr alliance instead of the alliance privileged by the U.S., which would be Alawi and maybe Maliki. Although the U.S. started supporting Maliki years ago, but not in its best two. So in the end, the Iranians, they did a typical Iranian Persian chess game. They won quietly. It took them 2 or 3 months of, not even hardcore negotiations, very smooth negotiations, and they got what they wanted. Obviously, Sadrists will have a very strong representation in this next government. They're going to have probably some important ministerial posts. And obviously, what's the most important thing left out of the whole equation? The Sunnis. So what we're going to have basically is, if this is too skewed towards religious Shiite government with some participation by the Kurds, the Sunnis will be left out. Most of them voted for Alawi. And what we're going to have is what we had before 2004, 5, especially 6, civil war. And wait, General Petraeus and General Obama said the Iraq war was over. No, it's round 3 that is going to begin really soon.
All right, now here's the thing about that. Rewind it back to the spring of 2004. And I know that was a long time ago in Iraqi years and what all they've been through since then. But when the Blackwater contractors were lynched and burned in Fallujah, and George Bush responded by sending the Marine Corps to slaughter people randomly for, I guess, just revenge sake and show those people we mean business and all that. At the same time, and there were other reasons. They had shut down Muqtada al-Sadr's newspaper, and that had led to some fighting. That's where Casey Sheehan was killed, and that started the Battle of Najaf, which is Sadr's territory, right at the same time, or right around the same time. And Sadr had sent his men in pickup trucks up to Fallujah to help the people of Fallujah resist the American attack there. And for years, in fact, we talked with Bob Dreyfus about this on the show the other day, how at the end of 2006, Muqtada al-Sadr was saying, was trying to cobble together a new coalition that he called the Government of National Salvation, and it was going to take the disaffected Sunnis, some Kurdish factions, I'm not sure if it was Barzani or Talabani was in on it with him or what, but anyway, they were going to come together and create a government that would have a majority, kick Alawi out, or maybe it was Jafari at that time, I forget.
No, you're right.
But anyway, the point being that he was a nationalist, Pepe. He wanted to work together with the Sunnis. He condemned the Supreme Islamic Council for their plan for strong federalism, the Biden kind of plan of spinning off the South as a Shia stand with Iran. That he wanted Iraqi nationalism, which doesn't necessarily mean he planned to always be fair to the Sunnis in the future or whatever, but I guess I wonder, has that really, it's too late for that now? Because he must realize that, as you say, if he forms this coalition with Maliki, this is going to start the war again. The Sunnis will be completely out of power.
I agree with you. So the next crucial point is which Sunnis will be part of the government?
Yeah.
What kind of Sunnis voted for Alawi, for that matter? Okay, secular Sunnis. Like entrepreneurs who from Baghdad, those that didn't leave to Syria, for instance. There are more than 1 million in Syria. And the business of these Iraqi Sunnis in Syria in itself is something very important for the Syrian economy. If you go to Damascus, like 50%, almost 50% of the city now is controlled by Sunni Iraqi businessmen. So which Sunnis will voted for Allah, which Sunnis will contemplate a government that is not sectarian? Sadr, for the past, I would say at least for the past 2 years, he's always sending signals that he's still, and he always was, and he always will be, a nationalist. So the number one Sadr's platform is occupying forces out. And maybe they're going to have that in 2011. Probably not. We're still going to have 50,000 Pentagon troops, war troops or non-war troops stationed over there. But that's number one. Number two, a nationalist government and non-sectarian. Alawi is more Malik is more complicated. Malawi from our party, he's still too Shiite for many Sunnis. Sadr, no, they don't see Sadr as eminently a Shiite scholar. They see Sadr as an Iraqi nationalist. So he's Iraqi first and Shiite second. And with Malik, it's exactly the opposite. So wait a minute. Let
me ask you just to clarify there. Patrick Coburn talks about how all kinds of Iraqis all the time. You'll hear them say that, oh no, we're all Iraqis and we're all nationalists and whatever. But those Shiites, they're not really Iraqis. They're the Iranians and that kind of thing.
Very different.
But you're saying that they don't, like the average Sunni resident of Fallujah, for example, or Tikrit, wouldn't necessarily consider Sadr that way. The way they look at the Maliki or Abdulaziz al-Hakim back before he died. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood that point clearly there. Now hold it, Pepe. We got to take this hard break, but we'll be back with Pepe Escobar from the Asia Times talking Iraqi politics. Antiwar.com/radio.